All right. Hey, welcome. This is the 14th episode of Speedify Live. We are streaming live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern, which is now. I'm your host, Alex Gizis. Our goal for every one of these streams is to introduce to you someone or something really interesting about live streaming so that all of us, me included, can up our live streaming game. And I think we're really delivering that tonight because our special guest is Mike Shields, the community manager from Streamlabs Melon app, which of course we are using right now to bring you this very stream and many of the Speedify live streams before this. We're big fans of this app. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
So on the off chance that anyone doesn't know what Speedify itself is, what I'm talking about, it is our app. It's available on the App Store and the Play Store at speedify.com. that runs in the background and lets your computer use all of your internet connections at the same time so that you get more reliable live streaming, right? It's cellular bonding, it's Wi-Fi bonding. You can combine Wi-Fi and cellular. You know, if you have Ethernet, you can plug that in. You can tether a cell phone. And we'll combine all of them so that even if something terrible happens, or if you're on the go, right, covering a church where you have to go into the church and out into the courtyard, things just keep working and your video keeps streaming. So we are live. So if any of you have questions, we will see the comments. If you just post them on, whatever you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, we'll see them and we can answer them directly. So with no further ado, here's Mike. Mike, you want to tell us a little bit about Melon?
Yeah. So Melon is, if you're not familiar, is a multi-platform streaming app where you can stream to up to, well, I'm going off our old slogan where you can stream up to 5, but you can stream to much more now, where you can stream to a bunch of different locations at once, all using your internet browser. So you can use it from a computer that's not really, up to, your computer have to blow it out of the water to run it, basically. So it's a browser-based streaming tool, similar to the fashion of like Streamlabs OBS or OBS, that allow you to stream to Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and a custom RTMP, which is like if you want to stream to your website or if you want to stream to like Instagram or even TikTok, something like that. So yeah,
that's awesome. So why do live streamers need Melon?
I think live streamers need Melon, especially like in the instance of if you're doing interviews like this, or if you're doing like podcasts or something like that. It's something that's less intensive on the computer, like I stated before, and something that you can just do like on the go. You can bring it up on your mobile phone and bring up a mobile app. You can use it right then and there, and it's something that you can use like on the go as well. So if you just got those little pop up like, oh, I met this guy, or I met this lady, or I met this person out and about, and I don't know when I'm going to see him again. Let's do an interview, such and such. You can do it right there from your phone.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. It is so easy. I didn't install any software.
Yeah,
I just go to melonapp.com, and here it is. It's a lot like Google Meet.
Yeah, and it's really fast. I mean, you could just say, okay, I want to make an account. It'll use one of the accounts you link to it. Let's say you want to link in YouTube. Just sign in with your YouTube account, and then from there you can link all your different other social media accounts or platforms you want to stream to. So,
right. So Streamlabs, which makes Melon, is also the people who make Streamlabs OBS.
Correct.
So when do I use OBS and when do I use Melon? I think that's one thing that's confusing.
So in the instances where you would use Streamlabs over Melon would be if you want to stream something that's super like intensive, like maybe you want to stream video games because you want to stream from your console or you want to stream from, a high-end PC, you might want to lean more towards Streamlabs, although we can stream games. But Melon, the thing about Melon that we love and that we try to push is that the simplicity of it. You won't have to learn how to make scenes or doing these other extra little plugins or anything that you had to do in Streamlabs if you wanted a more advanced experience. So this is like really entry level. Anybody can use it, and that's why we love it.
Yeah, I mean, all we did is we made this background, right? this blue background. Ryan, who's hiding in the background, probably not going to show his face. So I think maybe you saw him for a second at the beginning. He made that background. Otherwise, this is just so easy, right? So Streamlabs is actually part of Logitech. I don't know, the little inside baseball, but how are you guys organized? Like, is it one team?
So we're a bunch.
Or is it multiple teams? Or
it's multiple teams split up, but we do have our whole Streamlabs as a group type meetings and discuss and learn about the different branches of Streamlabs. Now, we have products like Oslo, which is a browser based collaboration tool where, let's say you make videos on YouTube and you have an editor and you want the editor to make notes or edits or anything like that, you can do that, and you can do that live. So you can do it within the chat. You can make little points here, like, okay, I don't like this lens flare here, I don't like the camera shake there, add this, add that, right on that. You can do that for music, movies, and photographs. We have cross clip, which where you can cut up content and post it to like Twitter and TikTok, that type of thing. And then obviously we have Streamlabs OBS, which is our more advanced streaming tool. And I think we have Willow. And Willow, if you're not familiar, Willow is an app that is similar to Linktree. So if you're familiar with Linktree, Willow is our version of that.
Okay. So back to Melon app. Can you talk about roadmap any? I mean, what's coming next?
So that's a good question. The things that we work on are things that we try to create for Melon are really just comes from the user itself of the community. So if there's a high demand for something, that is what shoots it up the priority list. So currently right now, our biggest thing right now is seeing how we can implement, background music or that type of thing. That's what's coming, I think, sooner rather than later. But things like that the community requests heavily are things that we have moving forward for the app. Now, we've made a bunch of, big changes recently where, we have new layouts. We have, we up the amount of Facebook destinations you can stream to, super chat. We've added a chat bot to Melon that you can use in conjunction with Melon that I don't think any other streaming service, web browser-based streaming service is using right now. So
nice. So again, if more people are joining us, we're talking to Mike from Melon, and if you have any questions for either him or me, just post them there in the comments, and we will see them. So Mike, talk about what you do at Melon, right? You're a community manager. What does that mean?
So community manager basically means I just kind of look over the things that the users are discussing and try to get inside that conversation, kind of see where our power users are, how they're really using the app, and relay that to our team. I started off with user support and spent a lot of time there, and doing that, I got to see a lot of the hangups of where our users were kind of getting stuck on, and we were able to, because of that, I'm able to understand a little bit more of where they're coming from. So basically, I just kind of oversee things like the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitter, all our social medias, even LinkedIn and Reddit, and just kind of get a feel of how they're feeling and try to talk to them as much as I can.
Cool. Mustafa writes that he is having some problems with Speedify. Mustafa, can you email support@speedify.com? They would be delighted to help you. So So, Mike, what did you do before you were here?
So prior to working for Melon, I was working for a company called Title Boxing, and I worked as a web content manager there, and I would really just update and work on their actual website. So I would do all the front end changes, all the inventory updates, spreadsheet work, that type of thing. Some heavy lifting every now and again, but you know that's where I come from. So that's kind of web-based background there.
Okay, cool. You have a live stream, is that right?
So I do stream for Melon. I stream. It's called the Melon Report. We do that on a bi-weekly basis. May try to implement a little bit more of those. We may go to weekly, just cut the type of the feedback that we're getting from it. But it's basically a bi-weekly update of what we do at Melon, and the updates that are coming, and basically some Q&A, kind of like this here. So what we want to do moving forward is try to have some interviews with, you know, different users, maybe even different brands like Speedify, you know, come on, have them on and kind of discuss how they're using Melon and how it's working for them. So
right, cool. So what advice do you have for, you know, those of us who have started live streaming and, you know, want to improve our streams? Are there
the biggest thing I could tell you about live streaming, or way to improve your live streaming, is to live stream. I think that's you got to do that. You got to get comfortable behind the camera. Next thing, lighting is great. The camera is not really too important as long as your lighting is great. And
so how's my lighting?
Your lighting's great. I can see everything in the room.
All right. I bought some LED lights and did my best to position them, and I was hoping it was all right. Good.
Yeah, but other than that, I just think getting comfortable behind the camera would improve your live stream tenfold. And then as far as like on the technical side, if you're using Melon, just make sure you're on a stable connection. Make sure that you're not doing anything too intensive on your computer, or have any extra processors running while you're running the stream, and that type of thing. And that's just not with Melon. As far as like those processors running, that's with anytime you stream.
Call Me V has a question for you, which is, why the name Melon? Now that I think about it, that's my question as well.
You know what? That's a good question. Why are we called Melon? When I went to sleep last night, I was like, they're gonna ask me why we call Melon, and I should probably figure that out. And I
really don't know.
I really don't know. Maybe one of my teammates in here that are watching can maybe answer that for us, but I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
All right, good work, Call Me V. You stumped the guest.
Stumped me.
So, all right. Again, anyone else questions? We answer them. So you're mentioning, you know, the importance of a stable connection.
Mm-hmm.
Any disaster stories? Any streamergencies?
Streamergency. The stressful situation when one's live stream breaks down or cuts out unexpectedly.
This is everyone has a story.
So Streamergency. So I can think of the most recent one I had. So I am running. I'm using all this new equipment that, you know, my team has blessed me with to make these Melon reports great. Though I had issues with the mixer at first, trying to get it going, but I think I sound good enough right now. But the biggest issue was the actual camera itself. Now, I didn't know that the camera gets hot. I don't know why. I was using webcams all the time. Now I'm using DSLR. I didn't know the cameras get hot, and when that happens, they tend to shut off. But what happens on the stream is that it just freeze frames you. So I am doing all of this. I'm doing my tests and see how it works, and I'm just freeze framed, smiling, doing all this. I'm like, yo, why am I not moving? And then I look at the camera, and the camera shut off. I'm having to unplug and replug everything. And then what happened in my sense of panic while I'm trying to go into settings, I go live. And so I'm just live in a freeze frame. I panic turn that off. But since I've gotten that working, I found the root of the issue, and it didn't like the USB port it was plugged into, so I corrected that. So
okay, that's cool. Yeah, I had a bad one with I was using Streamlabs OBS, and I wanted to show how much Speedify helped Zoom. So I did some demos of Zoom calls where I was plugging and unplugging cables, and everything was fantastic. And then I started recording it, and I looked at the video afterwards and it was terrible. And for a while I thought it was my internet, and then I thought it was Speedify. Did Speedify fail? And it turns out my PC just doesn't have enough GPU.
Yeah.
Right? Both Streamlabs and Zoom are video apps, both using the GPU. And it took me a while to figure out that, just my computer ran out of horsepower. And Speedify was none of it, right? Speedify was sitting in the back using 1%. Yeah. And it was none of the problem, right? But,
I had something similar that happened to me. Oddly enough, within Streamlabs, I recorded like a 2-hour video of me doing some I think I was playing like Pokemon, and this was before I worked for Streamlabs or Melon, and I was recording like me playing Pokemon or something, and I recorded like 2 hours of it, and I got it back. I was going to edit it, and no sound. And I'm like, okay. And I just didn't know the product. I didn't know Streamlabs enough to know that you need to have the monitor on to count to have it. But yeah, that threw off my release schedule, to say the least.
Oh, I'm sorry. So personally, what social media is your favorite? Like, are you a Twitter guy, an Instagram guy?
Right now, it's a tie between Twitter and TikTok. And I was late on the boat to TikTok, mainly because it was just a bunch of people dancing all the time or jumping off like egg crates, which is milk crates now. But for me, there's like these certain moments where like TikTok is like really shines, and there's these like goofy, like goofball challenges where they get like their parents involved, and I don't know why that's so funny to me, because growing up I used to mess with my parents a lot and give them trouble, so I relate to that a lot. But other than that, TikTok, because Twitter, it's just like Twitter's so fast, and Twitter's like the Wild Wild West almost. It's like if you have to really be in the moment with with Twitter.
Yeah, I'm mostly on Twitter myself these days. So my kids are 17 and 20. And so there are certain things that I'm like banned from because I would ruin it for them. Right? If I got into TikTok, that would be a problem. So I'm not permitted. Also, Complex, the website where they get their music opinions. I'm not allowed on Complex.
Oh, you gotta stay up on the cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm not allowed. So as far as live streaming content that you consume, you have favorites? Like what live streams or podcasts or whatever are you listening to these days?
My favorite content creator currently is a streamer by the name, or content creator by the name of Big Cheese KIT, and he's on Twitch mainly. He does have YouTube videos, but he's just the production value on his streams and his content and the way he's able just like to do improv music and things like that. Like I really taken a hold to that, and so much so. And I stumbled upon him maybe a year and a half ago, and between then and now, like I've become part of that community. We talk to each other, like it's great. So I think right now that's my number one right now.
Nice. All right, cool. I'm glad I asked. So how much did the pandemic affect you guys? Were you affected at all? Are you all virtual?
We're all virtual. Now, as far as when I started, we were all virtual. Now, and I can go so far as to say like Melon, because of the pandemic, Melon really came to be, because we were trying to bridge that gap between people that wanted to do these podcasts, do these interviews, but didn't have a way to do it due to the pandemic. And this was a way to bring that closer together. And I think we really thrived during that time because of it.
Cool. Will Speedify help me increase single connection speed? That's an interesting question. It turns out that if your internet connection has one of a bunch of problems, it'll fix it, right? So if there are problems with your DNS server, which could slow you down, if there's packet loss, like if you're at the edge of range of a wireless network, even if you only have one link, Speedify can fix all sorts of problems. It'll detect lost packets and resend them immediately. It'll use our DNS servers if there's something wrong with the one that your ISP gave you. So in a lot of situations where there's something wrong with your internet connection, it'll fix it. If nothing's really broken on your internet connection, then there isn't that much to do. And if you only have one connection, it kind of uses it. So Speedify does magical good things if you have two internet connections, and it does magical good things if you're like at the edge of range. You're down to 1 bar in signal. Speedify can do wondrous things to speed you up. But if everything's working perfectly, if you're sitting on FiOS with a gigabit connection wired into your computer, we probably don't help there. Except we provide failover, right? The idea that if that internet connection goes out and you have a cell phone tethered, we can switch and use a cell phone. But that is that. All right. I mean, anyone else? You got questions? Keep asking them. We really do answer them. So where do you think live streaming is going? Like,
I think
how's this all going to be different in a year or 5 years? Or
I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see a little bit more of it kind of taking over the landscape in a sense, because I think it made big strides during the pandemic, like I was stating before, with how we kind of thrived in that, and during that time where we were like kind of forced inside and had to communicate with each other via the internet. But seeing the way that it kind of is right now, and seeing how it's, for lack of a better words, kind of picking back up as far as the COVID is around. And I don't want to stress anybody like that, but seeing what that might be come back around in like the fall and winter seasons, I think you're gonna see us kind of going back to this live stream, and I think you're gonna see it pick back up. Who will be the leader of that? I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, it used to be really hard to live stream, right? Mm-hmm. And now, just everything's getting better, right? I mean, the iPhones have cameras that are good enough for professional stuff. I mean, now we have software like Melon doesn't even need to be installed to use it.
Like even like outside of Melon, like if you just wanted to do things like make a audio podcast, you can do that from your phone now with an app. So it's like things are getting quicker, things are getting faster, and we have more access to things that we didn't have like a year ago. So it's like it's crazy.
Yeah. So how do you stand out though? I mean, this means more and more competition, right?
The more competition, the better, because the competition is only going to make us better, because we have something to strive for. As far as how do we separate ourselves from it? We do listen to our community a lot more than I think some of the other brands possibly do. As far as in our like direct competitors, just due to the fact that when it doesn't matter if it's one user, it doesn't matter if it's two. If it's something that they say that they need, we take into account and we try to implement it the best that we can. And I think we always put the user first, because they're using it in ways that we couldn't even imagine. So it's definitely important to listen to them and listen to what they're going through and how to ease that process for them. So I think that's the biggest thing. And as well as our customer support. We're human, and we are all streamers ourselves, so we kind of know where they're coming from in that regard. So
here's a question for you, Mike. What are your thoughts on these creations getting in the boxing ring? Seems like live streamers are branching out.
Oh, you mean like YouTubers getting in the boxing ring, like Jake Paul and all of them?
Oh, the creators, yeah.
Okay, I'm on the fence about that. That's a good question. I'm on the fence about it because I love boxing. I just I feel like a lot of that is just goofy to me a little bit, but it's still entertaining in the sense like when Nate Robinson was going against Jake Paul and it was like super out of his weight class. I was like, I don't think that would be in a regular sanctioned fight, but like if you do like legacy acts, like because technically Mike Tyson is a content creator now because he has a podcast. Like seeing him get back in the ring was great, even though he's like old with that dad gut. It's still great to see him back out there.
I don't care how old he is. I don't want to get punched in the head by Mike Tyson.
He's still smoothing out there. He was doing his little shadow boxing and his little button up, his little starched up button up. I'm like, I still don't want any of that.
He was the one, right? Everyone has a plan till they get punched in the head.
Never. But I think what is happening because of these these content creators are getting out there in the boxing ring and doing these fights are bringing attention back to the sport of boxing more or less. And I mean it's only going to make it better and pour more money into it in the long run. So that's the way I feel about it. But I if I catch it, I catch it. I'm not really looking forward to these content creators out here boxing. I'm not trying to get in the ring with nobody. I got 2 kids. I can't be out here, seeing stars.
Yeah. Boxing fun to watch, but no thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So thoughts on when somebody puts together a good show, how do you build your audience? How do you get people watching every week?
So I think you have to. The biggest thing about building your audience or retaining those viewers or retaining an audience is just making sure that you make them feel like they're part of the show. And I think a lot of new streamers that I see, even on just Twitch, are kind of just doing their thing, whether it be just playing a game or going through their interviews or just kind of just going through the emotions. I think when you have these people that come in or these viewers coming in, I think, and they're speaking up, I think it's great that it's okay to stop. It's okay to address them, especially in a live streaming like situation, because this is not like broadcast TV, so to speak. I mean, this is not like CBS and you're doing like a broadcast with like Michael Phelps or anything like that. You can stop because they have a question about your product, and if you make them feel at home, they're going to come back like it is home. So I think that's the biggest thing.
All right. That's good to hear. So keep asking those questions, people, and tune back next week. Yeah, so what else? Tell me about that. So there was another app we were looking at from Streamlabs. Was it Crosscut?
I
believe am I saying wrong?
So. Let me just verify.
So one issue I have. Mm-hmm. So we're filming these interviews, right? These live streams, and I think they're great. Sorry for hitting my microphone.
Clip is what it's called.
Cross clip, sorry. Mm-hmm. And they're an hour long, and I think people really enjoy watching them. But I think when people come along afterwards, they're a little long, and so we're thinking about editing them down. But that turns into a big project. Yes, yeah. Suggestions on how to package up some of this content. We were also this related note. Maybe this should just be a separate question. We were thinking, could we turn these into blog posts? Because we have these Q&As, these interesting people. And, YouTube will give you the transcript afterwards.
Yeah.
But it's awful. It's all lowercase, 6 words to a line, doesn't say who is speaking. And it seems like it would be less work to watch the video and type up what you want to type up.
Yeah, I think turn them into blogs is a good option. My brain wasn't even going there. But as far as like making clips, I think it's important. And actually, with the Melon Report, what we're doing when I do those streams, I'm making clips of those streams to make little like small digestible pieces for like Twitter and maybe TikTok as well. Just to have online so that people that missed it can catch an update or two. And they're not very long, but I think when you're making those, it's hard to find like what is a 30 to 40 second chunk of information of substance that you can get out of a hour-long broadcast. And I think that's kind of up to the creator's discretion in that regard. For me, I kind of look at like, what is the highlight? Like, where was I most enthusiastic, and then where were the parts where I think that if a user never watched it, what would they take away from this entire thing? So what is the, TLDR of this, and just make like multiple clips of that.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Any thoughts on the turning it into a blog? Like, do you know of any good tools for kind of pulling the script out or something? Or
I honestly couldn't even tell you. Like I said, that was the last thing that came to my mind. I wasn't even thinking about a blog, but now that that's pretty good to have. And if YouTube is making like transcripts of it, but I want to say you could probably just run it through like a Grammarly or something like that. I'm not for sure. Like I said, I had to test it and get back to you. What's up, Caleb? How you doing? It's one of our guys.
Okay. All right. Is it possible to put a VPN in a router? So Speedify, of course, is a VPN, and you can put it on all sorts of devices, like a Raspberry Pi. So we have instructions on our website, support.speedify.com. There are a whole bunch of articles about putting it on Linux devices like a Raspberry Pi and setting it up to act as a router. We don't sell any hardware routers today. We are software people. Sort of funny story, when the people who founded this company, we had a previous company last decade. Not 2 decades ago. Geez, I'm getting old. We used to do electronics and software for the U.S. military. Most of the robots in the Iraq war were running electronics and software that we designed. And when Obama got elected president, we had a meeting, and all of us said, you know what, we don't want to do this anymore. And we went around the room, and everyone had different reasons, actually, why they didn't want to do it anymore. But we all still wanted to work together, and we wanted to do software. And Bonna Grover, who at the time was our head of manufacturing, who had made 50,000 radios, said that she was willing to join us at our new company as long as we promised that we would never make hardware again. And so we promised her that we would never make hardware again. And so even though people contact us all the time with great ideas for hardware devices with Speedify, we say, well, that's nice, but no, we can't. we're constitutionally not allowed. So, I mean, we're kind of looking for partners. We're doing software that can go on little devices that other people make, but we will never make a device. But yeah. So also, if you had sort of a PC type device, anything that could run Ubuntu or Debian, some of these are pretty small. There's some pretty tiny PCs these days. You could put Speedify on one of those and use that as a router. Sorry, extremely long answer to a simple question. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What else? Those were a lot of questions I had for you, actually. So yeah.
So
the.
I guess my question for you.
You go ahead. Yeah, please.
So you said you've been using Melon to do your broadcast. You've been doing your live streams and interviews on here. I'll say, what was your biggest takeaway from Melon? Like, what are some things that you like? What are some things that you maybe would like to see us do better, I guess?
So I like how unbelievably simple it is, right? I pull up a web browser. I don't have to install anything. I just pick which microphone I'm using, pick which camera I'm using. I had Ryan the first time upload a bunch of graphics for backgrounds for me, and I am done. There are a couple little glitchy things. I've lost the number of live viewers.
And it could be...
It's supposed to show in the user interface, and it wasn't showing, so I disabled a bunch of Chrome plugins, and then it started showing, and then we went live again, and it's disappeared again. Okay. So it could be something in my browser. Okay. I totally believe this is all my fault.
Yeah,
but right now I can't see how many people are watching.
Yeah, I see the live timer up here in the top left, but I don't see a view count here, and I don't have any extensions active.
All right. So did I find a bug?
Maybe. And I can get our. Let's see. Make sure to see if they're watching.
So that's one weird little glitchy thing I saw, but that's pretty minor. I really like one of the other cool things. Yeah, should I show it for a second? It's going to do a weird, do the mirror thing, but might as well let people see what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to try to screen share. Yeah. So it looks crazy, but you see over here on the right, like I see all of your comments coming up.
Yeah.
So I'll just stop sharing now. That was kind of what we're looking at, except it did the crazy mirror thing because we're looking at what you're looking at. So as you guys post comments on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook or whatever, they all show up for us as one stream right here down the right. So we're talking and we're seeing your stuff scroll by, and that's really nice. So you've got slightly different icons so we can tell where you came from, but it's really not very important, right? The point is a user is asking us a question, so we get to see it right there. All right. So what kind of phone do you use personally? Are you an Android guy or an iOS guy?
I am an Android guy. I thought about going to iPhone, but I don't know, the 21 Plus was looking too good. The Samsung 21 Plus was looking too good for me, so I went ahead and picked that up. What I was coming from, the Pixel 3, I believe it was. Yeah, it was Pixel 3, and I love that.
Pixels are pretty nice. The Pixels are really nice, right?
I love them, man. After this phone, I'm probably gonna go back, to be honest.
Yeah, because the Pixels are Google making what they think an Android phone should be. And they're not crapped up at all with any extra apps or ads or whatever.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back to a Pixel after this. Me and my wife.
So what's wrong with the Samsung?
There's nothing wrong with it. I think we just got too accustomed to the way the Pixel runs and the software. Really, because we have two babies. I have a 3-year-old and I have a 4-month. Well, what's today? He'll be 5 months in 3 days. We take a lot of pictures.
I'm a little ahead of you.
Yeah, we take a lot of pictures, and I just think the after you take the picture, the software that's on the Pixels, it's so much better. They handle images so much better than the Samsung do. So that's the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, camera's important. But man, your kids are so little.
Yeah,
like I said, mine are 17 and 20. I'm 1 year from being an empty nester. So that's exciting in a different way.
I was like, I know I left my mom's house at 18 and I came back at 21 for a few months and then I left and came back. I just,
nothing wrong with that. Everyone's welcome to visit. That's really funny. So are there new products coming? I mean, you guys have a bunch now. Are there whole new products getting ready to launch here?
Not that I'm aware of. And again, like I said, I really just work with the Melon side particularly. I do know that because this is so close in relation to like Streamlabs OBS, a lot of our users that come from that, or a lot of the people that are recommended to use Melon that come from that, there are certain widgets that they're looking for, and if we do start implementing more newer things like that, they're gonna come from that kind of that widget like base that we have. So
yeah. So Streamlabs, you got bought by Logitech. Like, do you guys think of yourself as Logitech people, or you're still?
I think we're a combination of both. I think we're a combination of both. I think a lot of I speak on how I feel.
Yeah.
It says Logitech on my email, so I'm part of Logitech. So
the paycheck is the
yeah,
important
it says
thing.
Logitech on my email, so that's where we are.
That's good. Is there a lot of cross connection to? Oh, look, my Logitech keyboard to the keyboards and the mice. I mean, is there cross stuff, or are you guys kind of running separately?
We kind of like, as far as I'm concerned, at least at my level, we kind of left to our own little Melon team to kind of do what we need to do, and then we consult with them, on a daily to weekly basis. So I think the communication is there with Logitech, Streamlabs, and Melon and other products. But I think this company is so great because they just trust you to, do the job and do the job well, and you're able to make decisions and make your own judgments. And if you make a mistake, I mean, that's part of it. So I think that's what I really like the most about this kind of team that we got going on here. So
yeah, nice. So I'm looking at your set. What's your setup now? Like microphone and camera.
Yeah, I have the
computer.
So let me specify. This is for work. I'm on a PC. I have a Shure mic. I have a Sony A6000, and I have a key light up here as well. So, and a Go XR mixer. That's what I'm running right now.
Wait, what kind of mixer for the audio?
Go XLR Mini is what I'm running for the mixer. But
how do you like that?
Running. It was I had to watch at least 2 videos to get it set up. I will say that. And that was a time when I was, going through my little illness, and I was like, I'm gonna figure this out while I'm here trying to heal up. And I did. But I think that was the biggest thing outside of the little camera situation I told you about earlier. But I think a lot of it is like your head getting to you rather than like just sitting down and just learning how to, use the product, use the gadgets, and they're great tools. But of course, with Melon, you don't need to have all this stuff. We just, when I'm doing my Melon reports, we want us to look as crisp and clean as possible. So this is why we like this here.
Yeah.
PlayStation or Xbox? Also, do you have any of the current gen consoles integrate or interoperate with Melon? I'm a PlayStation guy. I've always been a PlayStation guy. I've had an Xbox growing up, but PlayStation has all my Japanese RPGs, so that's what I play for the most part. As far as like being able to sync with consoles, Melon, in my testing, because I'm a gamer, you can hook up a capture card. A capture card is able to be seen by Melon, but it takes the place of your video input. And because of that, it doesn't have any audio. So I would say currently right now in Melon's current state, it cannot. But because we have a lot of people coming from Streamlabs that want a simpler setup, I don't see why that wouldn't be on the horizon for us as well, because it's just a whole market that we can just put our hands on. So.
Yeah. So are you playing any games these days? What games?
I play a lot of RPGs and fighting games are my main genre, but I really dig Final Fantasy in my downtime. So I have Final Fantasy 14 right here. That's what I'm doing. My MMO I'm doing. I have a group that I run with. My favorite RPGs, Ryan, it is Persona 5, number 1 with a bullet point. Final Fantasy 8, and I know there's some haters out there for Final Fantasy 8. And then Final Fantasy 10. And Chrono Trigger is up there, but I think Chrono Trigger is just a given, not Final Fantasy 7. I think it's important that I say I do not like Final Fantasy 7 because there's so many Final Fantasy 7 stands out there.
What's wrong? So I've actually lost track of which one's which. So what's wrong with Final Fantasy 7?
For me, I think the story, and this is coming from an FF8 fan, I think the story is a little bit convoluted. I think that none of that story is actually real, and that the main character is just hopped up on fumes, and that's everything that he's seeing is that. And people get all crazy and stir crazy over Sephiroth, and Sephiroth is a nut, and he killed my only healer. So there's that.
All right. I was watching one of those ghost hunter shows. I'm going somewhere with this. And, they go to a house and, the people are talking about seeing shadowy figures and stuff. And they go in the basement and realize that they have paint thinner underneath the air vent. Yeah. Right. And they're like, your house is not, I couldn't believe it. Right. Because normally these shows, they're like, oh, there's a ghost. What was that? And they were like, your house is not haunted. You have paint thinner. You're breathing. And they left, and they're like, we feel great. We actually did good this episode. So then I started reading, and it turns out they think most of these ghost stories are carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, sounds a lot like Final Fantasy VII.
Like it seriously is a side effect of carbon monoxide poisoning. That people start hearing voices and seeing shadowy figures and hearing, knocking sounds when nobody's home and sensing presence. That's like you're being poisoned.
Yeah.
They're actual medical symptoms.
I had my AC being fixed here a couple of weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago, actually. And he was fixing something in my my water heater. And all of a sudden, he just brings out this blowtorch, and then he's like just smoke filling up the house. And I hear like the alarms going off. My sons, who have never heard a fire alarm ever from the smoke alarms, are panicking. But much to what you were saying, like it was.
I could come over and cook for them, and then they'll hear it more often.
that carbon monoxide alarm was going off as well. And so my sons and my wife left the house, and then I'm sitting in here and I'm like, am I like, I kind of got the feeling like, should I be in here inhaling this stuff? But I was on the clock. So I'm like, I want to get this work done. But it's like, I was thinking like, what would have happened if I would have just stayed in there longer than I did? But that's just funny that you bring that up because my alarm was going off in this house.
Yeah. All right. All right. We're not going to, people are posting Reddit threads. We're not going to wander off into Reddit. That's a step too far even for me. All right. So any other advice, right, for the people live streaming, the beginners, they've got their Melon app and they've started live streaming. What else can they do to be successful here?
I just think like going back to what I said before, like I think a lot of new streamers or new would-be streamers, what prevents them from streaming is the thought of it. So I think once you get a couple of broadcasts under your belt, I think you got to accept the fact that unless you have a strong following already, like that first broadcast you may have 0 viewers, you may have 1, you may have 2, but just get it out the way, get out the system. And then when you get that, then you can really get the work started there. So once you get more comfortable in front of the camera and talking, looking into the camera, looking to where, your point of focus is, and being able to talk about topics clearly, I think is another big thing. So I think the combination of those things, and you'll do great. Also, be entertaining.
We try. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Not a problem.
I really appreciate you coming on. I think we all learned a bunch of interesting things here. One thing, anyone interested in Speedify, it's up in the top there. We have a coupon. Streaming 2021 gets you 25% off any yearly or longer licenses. So yeah, Streaming 2021, 25% off. So grab that if you're interested. If you like the show, we're doing it every Tuesday and Thursday. So, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is based on whichever channel you're watching us on. We would appreciate that. And if you really loved it, go ahead and tell your friends. And I think that's everything. Unless you have any parting words of wisdom, Mike?
No, just make sure you're
get out there and get started.
Get out there and make sure you're streaming, and make sure you drink a lot of water because if you're on Twitch, they will make you hydrate.
That's right. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all online.